Hello everyone, welcome to this wonderful webinar on COVID safety plans. This is just a general disclaimer if you're watching the replay of this, that the information included in this is general only in nature. If you do need some more information or some help after this, we'll give you some details at the end. But now I'm going to throw over to Orlando, who is a safety practitioner, auditor, facilitator, safety extraordinaire. So over to you, Orlando, and let us know everything you need to tell us.
Okay, thanks very much, and thanks for the invite today, and welcome to everybody. I was asked to present some information in regards to COVID-19 and the safety guidelines associated with that. My role here at the Busselton Jetty, or BJI, is the Quality, Health, Safety, Environment and Assets Manager. But I have a long background, a varied background. Hi, Julie. How you going? It includes, working for an RTO, and fortunately for me, I've got John Williams here, who was probably, was my first mentor, who gave me an opportunity to work for Combined Team Services in Bunbury, where I spent about 8 or 9 years, and 7 years, I think, and still hang out with him every now and again. He taught me all the ropes and about training and facilitating and auditing. So I'm always grateful and thankful to John for that. But I'm an accredited auditor. I'm Exemplar Global accredited. I conduct ISO audits around the southwest and in Perth and even over east. I'm also a safety practitioner, so in my consultancy, I work with numerous companies, assisting them with safety and setting up systems and showing them, trying to demonstrate to them the best ways to do things in regards to safety without it becoming too onerous. Facilitator, well, I'm a facilitator of numerous team dynamics, communication, safety, of course, and numerous other things. And I do consult to other companies in regards to WHS. So with my role at the Jetty, and what I'm going to do today is basically talk to you about what we've done here and show you some websites that will assist. And hopefully, if you've got any questions about anything, I'm not sure how much time we've got today. Actually, how much time do we have today, Louise?
We have anywhere from half an hour to an hour, however long everyone wants to. And if anyone does have any questions, just pop them into the group chat and we'll get those answered for you as well.
Right. So the biggest thing for us here at the Busselton Jetty is obviously with COVID is the amount of people that come to our site. Even today, a beautiful day today, I've just been out there and there's numerous people around. But when this first came out, we had to put together a plan of some sort for COVID, and so we developed a program or a system that took us through step by step about what we had to do. But for people out there, there is so much information in regards to COVID at the moment. There's probably too much information, and people are starting to get a little bit confused about what they can and can't do. But if you simplify the process and really look at, well, what is it I need to do in my business to demonstrate that I've demonstrated my due diligence in regards to COVID. And there's some real simple stuff out there on the net and some real simple guidelines and templates that you can look up that'll help you. I don't know, I mean, I know what John does for a living, but I don't know Julie, I think you work from home if I recall. Is that right?
I do, but I'm working with Matt's business, which has a retail shop front.
Yeah, okay, all right.
Business products.
Yeah, so all of what we got to be aware of is what do we need to do? Right now, the first thing that you need to do moving forward is you have to have done a COVID safety plan. Now, the COVID safety plan is there's two you can actually do. There's one which is the WA one, which I'll show you in a minute, and I also completed a national COVID safety plan, which is a lot more detailed and more specific than the WA one. So if I can remember how you showed me to do this, Louise, I'll do my best here. Right. So can you see that the COVID safety plan? Cool. Right. Thank you. Yay. Yay. So this is the WA COVID safety plan. Anybody that is has any kind of patrons that come to their business, cafe, restaurant, or anything like that, must complete one of these, a COVID safety plan. Now, this is available on the WA. You can see there the government of WA. This is available on their site. And I've got no doubt that if you need to get a copy of this, that we can send, Louise can send a link out to everybody. This is compulsory, guys. You must complete one of these. And if I can just scroll down, hopefully this works. It's a very, very simple document. It's just got your premises details, and it asks 4 simple questions. What have you done to implement physical distancing? How will you ensure that you've required hygiene standards are maintained? How will you ensure your workers know how to keep themselves and others safe from exposure? And there's some certain compliance requirements that you have to fulfill. And how will you respond if there is exposure? Now, at the bottom of this is the most important part. You see this COVID safety plan certificate. This must be displayed in your business. This must be displayed, okay? And there is regulators out there. I don't know who they are. Maybe, John, you know who they are, that actually will be coming around to making sure that this certificate is displayed. I'm not sure if they're WHS regulators. I'm not sure if they're WorkSafe. I'm not sure who they are. I'm not sure if they're from the health department. All they said is there's WHS regulators that will be checking. Okay. Now, the other one that I've completed, and this is not a compulsory one. This is just something I completed off my own back. And this is from the Australian government. It's called My Business's COVID Safe Plan. Now, this document is a lot more, like I said, specific and a lot more detailed than the WA one. It is from, it's got resources from Safe Work Australia, and it is quite simple to follow. This really does focus on your duties as an employer, if you do have employees, or even if you are self-employed. Working from home, your requirements you have to have working from home. Mental health, what you have to follow up for mental health. Your cleaning, your hygiene, your sanitation, all those sorts of things that we have to make sure that we follow. Lots of links in this. There's lots of stuff that you can follow through. But I'll just take you through the parts because I don't have time to go through it specifically now, but willing to speak to anyone who needs some information about this. To me, this plan is better than, unfortunately, than the WA one, even though WA one is good because this really demonstrates your duty of care. So it talks about, have you undertaken a risk assessment, which is one thing I'll talk to you guys in a moment. How do we keep workers safe and limit the spread? And you'll see on the right-hand side is when I completed those things. And then it scrolls down to prepare and making sure your workplace is safe and clean. Then you come to this template about what is it that you have done? What will you do? When will it happen? What do you need to provide? Okay. How are you going to make sure, if you do have people in your business, that they are physically distant, or as we call it, socially distant from each other, which is the whole 2 metre, 4 metre squared thing. Now, you can imagine how difficult that is for us here at the Jetty. We have a tourist train, and the tourist train has just started operations again 3 days ago. And we are so vigilant with our social distancing on the train. We can only put about, we've got a capacity of 90 on the train. We can only fit about 20 people on the train at this time because we must abide by the social distancing. Additional changes for your specific business or industry. Are there things that you must do for your business to in regard to COVID? Additional stuff. And then infection, which we hope none of us have to do, but do you know what to do in the event of an infection? And basically down here there's a little template, and there's some information. As you can see, this is our one at the Jetty of what we've done. Oh, my internet connection is unstable. Hope you're still hearing me. That's just popped up. Is it okay, Louise? Okay, thanks. And then obviously for people that are looking towards the feature, part 2 of this tool relates to adapting my business now and in the future, because this is not going to go away overnight, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to hang around for a long time. And I think all of us have had to adapt in some way on the way that we do things. So getting things up and running, it talks about if you need information from the Fair Work Act, Fair Work Ombudsman, if you need information, JobKeeper from the Australian Tax Office. It's a really wonderful document. And if you take an hour or 2 hours to complete this document, you will be seriously setting yourself up for success with the COVID-19 issue. So let's talk about some of the stuff that we've done here at the Jetty. I don't have pictures because I've run out of time to put pictures up, but what we did, well, this is more the CEO more than myself, but I'll take the glory for it, is she created a document called Recoil, React, Resilience, Now Recover. And basically what that was about was, it's from the start to the finish. What happened when they first, what we did when we first discovered that we had COVID-19. One of the things that you should do is go and do the health. We did health infection control training, which is on the Department of WA website. What you also need to do, if anyone out there has a restaurant or a cafe, is to do the AHA training course. Now that is compulsory. If you run in a restaurant or a cafe, or anywhere that sells or handles food of any sort, you have to make sure that you've completed the AHA training course, okay? That's a non-negotiable, that's a mandatory. And we've had our staff do that, even though we don't really handle food per se. So we then went through, okay, what do we need to do here? This is just ideas that we had, but the big one for us is this one here. And this is the Recover program. So as I said to you, we completed our COVID safe plan. We completed the WA COVID safe plan. We completed tourists, because we're in tourism, business recovery plan. We got our people to complete the AHA hospitality and tourism hygiene course. And we obviously communicated with the police about reopening. We also have been conducting polls with people about how they feel about coming back to the Jetty. Now, I know that's not for everybody, but that's what we've been doing here. Now, underpinning all this stuff that we've been doing here is in the background, and please bear with me, I've just got to find it, is, oh, here it is down here. Okay, this is an example of a risk register. One of the very first things that I did was a risk assessment on COVID-19 for the business here at BJI.
Sorry, Orlando, we can't see the same thing that you're looking at.
Oh, sorry, I don't know why that is.
That's okay.
Sorry about that. I'll go back to how do I go back here? Get out of that. Well, let's get rid of that. There we go. Back to, oh, have you got that information on COVID-19 now?
Yeah.
All right. Thanks. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen.
So we've just got the website. Yeah, that one.
Yep.
Yep.
So, okay, I'll go back to the risk assessment. When COVID happened, one of the first things I did, like I said, was created a COVID risk assessment on the business. Now, it doesn't matter whether your business is 1 person, 5 people, 10 people, 20 people, and that's what it looks like, by the way, right? Is create a risk assessment. And some of the things that I had to worry about was contact between workers to workers, contact between workers and visitors, contact between workers and doorknobs and high touch points. So one of the things I do encourage is to probably complete a risk assessment on COVID-19. What are the potential hazards associated with that, and what have you got in place? So for instance, cleaning regimes, going to provide hand sanitizer for people, making sure that we have markers where people can stand if you do have a business where you need people, making sure that there's PPE available, making sure that there's signage that instructs people that they need to stand 1.5 meters apart. These are just the minimum bare things that you need to do if you run a business. Underpinning the risk assessment was I put together what's called a health check. Now, Louise has got a copy of the template that I created for a COVID health check. Now, that document itself is quite it's a pretty decent sized document, and there'll be parts of that document which will relate to you and there'll be parts of it that don't, because it's also got a continuity plan attached to it as a continuity plan template attached to it as well. So what that health check sees, it checks where you are right now, whether it be working with people or whether it be mental health, whether it be your duty of care from a WHS perspective to your employees, whether finances, we even cover the finance part of it as well. We cover the JobKeeper. So you also do a financial health check as well. That probably set us up with our COVID plan, was the health check, and I put some information together. This on the screen have in front of you, for the people that are in the safety world, this is probably the best site you can go to for free information in regards to COVID. Safe Work Australia is a national body for safety, and all this stuff here is all free. If I can just open this up, signage and posters. We have these posters, and hopefully this will work. General posters. We have these posters put up everywhere. These are all free. You can download them off this website. You know, simple steps. If I can just go back to that, though, go away, you. I just want to find, here we go. Posters like this, we have these up everywhere in our toilets, especially in our toilets, obviously. That's one. The other one that we have free is this keep the distance poster. This is the most important one for us. We have these in A3 all over the place, so people have, they know that they need to be 1.5 meters apart. We need to make sure that if you've got a counter or a restaurant or something, that you have markings on the ground, crosses, whatever it needs to be. We have caution tape, we put markers down. If you have a counter, make sure you have tape on the ground. You have to think for the people, and they need to understand that it's okay to get a temp check. You know, we temperature check everyone that comes into our business, because that's another control that we've got in place. If I can just go back to that Safe Work Australia site, just go back here. Industry information, depending what industry you're in. Your duties under the WHS laws. Now, I don't need to talk to John about this because he knows this stuff back to front. But for people who don't have safety knowledge, you actually have a duty to your workers to ensure that they are safe from this COVID. It's not up to them. It is up to you as the employer to make sure you've got systems and processes in place that protect your workers and visitors, by the way, which is more of a concern for us here at the Jetty. It's visitors. So under the law, you do have a duty or a due diligence requirement to make sure that they looked after. So it covers that sort of stuff. This resource kit is what you need to look at. This has got everything you need, checklists. So if you don't have any information at all and you don't know where to start, this is where you start. So for instance, if you want to know, am I doing the right thing? Workplace checklist. If you have a workplace, a simple checklist that you can fill out and keep on your records. And what it does, it's a good self-evaluation for yourself to see, am I doing the right thing? Have I got everything in place? So checklist, what do I do to keep my workers safe? Okay, that's one checklist. Just bear with me. Okay, go away. Come on, go away. Oh, right, sorry. I think I just crossed off that thing. I'm good at this, aren't I, Louise?
You're really good. Well, while you're trying to do that, I've got a question for you from Courtney.
Yeah.
She works for a not-for-profit sporting club in wood chopping.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, obviously got a lot of safety measures in place for that one. And she said they're unable to go back to competitions, but they want to start organising the events, which would mean gathering of people in an open area on a private property.
Yep.
What are their requirements for a safety plan? Do they fit under the sport and rec one?
Yes, correct. Sport and rec one, and very simple. You can have an open gathering up to 50 people, Courtney, as long as they are socially distanced. That's all you have to worry about. So we have meetings here where we are 2 meters apart from each other, and we're you're more than welcome to have that conversation. As long as they're not together, as in close together, then you're more than welcome to have that meeting. It's not a problem at all.
Awesome.
And that's all on that Safe Work Australia website, by the way. All that information is on that Safe Work Australia website I just showed.
Yeah, and I've just posted in the chat the link to the sport and rec safety COVID planning guidance stuff as well.
Yeah. Any other questions while I'm here? Come on, John. Surely you've got some comment for me. Okay, so what I've got also up on the screen is, this is probably, if you want to know anything about what your requirements are, the wa.gov.au website, Corona Business and Industry Advice. This tells you, this has got all the links to the safety guidance plans. Food, there's the link there for Louise, the one you're talking about, the COVID safety plan for sport and recreation. Who needs to have a COVID safety plan? What's happening with the roadmap? Small businesses, phase 3, everything that you possibly need from a COVID perspective is on this website, this link, I should say. As it says there, ensure a COVID safety plan is completed. COVID safety guidelines. So remember, I'm specific to safety. So that's why I spend so much time, because you've got to remember, COVID is a hazard. It's a hazard. So we have to identify it's a hazard, and we have to make sure that we have some controls in place. Social distancing is number one, imperative. Hygiene. So basically, like I said, everybody that comes into our business is temp checked. Every person that walks into our business must use hand sanitizer, and every person that comes to our business is made aware of they must be 1.5. We've put screens up on our counters, so to separate, to have that barricade from one person to the other. We even walking on the jetty, we've put markers on the ground where people need to stand. So when they have to board the train, look, we fortunately for us, we do have the people. We don't have the people, to be honest with you, because a lot of people are on JobKeeper, but we've used all our resources. We have someone who meets the people at the door to make sure all this stuff is done. We have people with a clicker to make sure we don't have more than 20 people inside our facility. So we're doing all the simple things, and to me, following through with all this safety, the COVID safety, if you just do the simple things, you'll be okay. Like I said, there's so much information out there right now, and probably all of you are in business. You've probably received 1 million invites to webinars about COVID and what you should do and what you can't do. And it sort of gets a bit confusing after a while, but it really boils down to the social distancing, making sure you've got a COVID safety action plan in place. I do strongly recommend doing a risk assessment of some sort. I do strongly recommend doing a health check of some sort to see where you're at right now. And obviously, as Courtney said, moving forward, how do we get our people back to work? So that was part of our plan. So when we reopened here on, I think it was last Monday, we had to make sure that we had everything in place prior to people stepping foot into our business. And that was to make sure that our staff understood what the requirements are and what we were accountable for as a business to our workers and to our visitors. I'm just thinking what else there's so much other stuff I could talk about, but I sort of, you can get stuff like that, identifying systems for COVID, which is all free on the net. A good document I received this morning was online, was from a company, lawyers called Cooper, Grace and Ward. I haven't shown you that one yet, Louise. I just received it this morning, which is Employers Guides, Employers COVID-19 Safety Toolkit. Louise, if I remember, I'll send you the link to this because it's a really good document, and there's heaps of links in here for people that are actually employers and don't really know what to do. Geez, what else? For Courtney, there's a COVID sports and rec safety, there's guidelines, very easy document to read, easy document to follow. So anyone that's involved in sports or rec, that's where that works. Geez, I can keep going and keep going and keep going, but I think you get the gist about COVID-19 and what we're doing here and that's really all I can really say for now, if that helps at all.
All right, maybe we'll open up the floor. Has anyone got questions? John, yeah.
I've got more of a comment than a question. With COVID safety plans being enacted all over the region, everywhere we go at the moment, the thing about the COVID plans that mostly don't work anywhere near well enough is the general public sticking to the physical distancing.
Right.
And so while you might have physical distancing rules, if any official person was watching what would happen, it's a bit like the beaches scenario. If you're going to bunch up, they'll stop you from continuing.
Yeah, correct.
So while you might have a good duty of care to say, I've got the signs up, I've put the marks on the floor, there is also probably a little bit more of a duty of care to be to communicate face to face with people who might not be following the rules. What do you think?
Correct, John, and our people do that, exactly that. If we find that there's a group of people milling together, we will go and tell them, hey, we need to socially distance each other. And most people are pretty good about it. We've had some people who, obviously grumble and carry on, but we make sure that they know that they cannot socially distance. And also, luckily for us here, if it gets out of hand, which did happen a couple of weeks ago on some good weather, we had a group of people who it was probably about 14 or 15. So back then it wasn't the current rules. We actually had to get the ranger to come down and talk to them about it because they just, oh, what's this? This is crap and all this sort of stuff. We don't need to do that and all this sort of stuff. Social distancing is the most difficult part about it. So we've instructed our staff to tell people they need to keep moving. Because as long as they're moving, it's okay. It's when they stop. But yeah, that's the hardest one, John, is the whole social distancing thing. I see it in the supermarkets, where the markers on the ground and, stand here and, to get served. And you've got people that don't stand there. They're right behind the other person at the checkout or at Bunnings or somewhere like that. But that's a great comment, mate. But it's a hard one to control, definitely.
So I just want to ask a question on that. What sort of training did you give your staff to about this social distancing and enforcing your safety plan? Because I'm sure that's something that people are wondering is how do we actually enforce it and how do you teach your staff to do that?
Okay, so we, with the risk assessment and the COVID health check and the COVID plan that we put together, we sat down the staff that were going to be a part of that. And actually we did some individual and some in small groups, obviously because of social distancing. And they were basically given some information. They've got checklists. So another thing that we've done, Louise, just on top of that, if I can just digress for 1 second, is that we have a cleaning regime. So as part of their training, we've given them a checklist of what must be cleaned, must be cleaned every hour. And they actually have to sign that document to say that they've cleaned the doorknobs, the window sills, the toilets, or whatever has got to be done. So the training was conducted about a week before we opened up for business again. And it was about what they needed to do and how they needed to approach people. We taught them some very quick communication skills about how to talk to people, about explaining why they have to be temperature checked, explaining why they have to keep social distancing. So the training part of it is vital, and it's still going today, by the way. I had a training session this morning with one of the guys. It's ongoing all the time because we're getting more and more people coming back. So it's one of the things is communication is imperative. If you do have staff, they must know what they have to do, and they must know what to do if people don't abide by the rules. That's the important one, because we do have a lot of, and I'll say it, a lot of kids that work here, and they're not used to conflict and all that kind of stuff. So we've got a hierarchy that if they feel a little bit threatened by the person, well, then they report to the managers, and then we go and take care of the situation. But they're all trained in knowing what to go and look for, knowing how to clean. what to say to the people, what to say to the people if their temperature is over 38 degrees. And that is vitally important, guys. If you do temperature checks, what do you do if someone does have a reading of 38 degrees? So with us, what we do tell the people, because we can't stop people from walking on the jetty. That is the City of Busselton's infrastructure. We can't stop them from doing that. But what we can say is we can't allow you into this building because you're over 38 degrees, and that is the maximum that will allow people to come into this building. We haven't had anyone, of course, do that. So training is vitally important, but it's communicating to the guys and knowing that they've got support there if they need it.
Fantastic. Now, I just had a look at the comments in the previous posts that had come up around this webinar, and one of them was around face-to-face gatherings for business organisations. Robin, you might have seen this one. It was from Ian Massey. He was asking, how do we prepare as a business organisation to start having events again?
Yep.
Not necessarily in our own venues. BSW sits in that same space.
Sure.
So what sort of things do we need to do? Do we need to be looking at the venues we're using and checking if they've got things in place?
It's a whole new world out there when it comes to this. So we run events here all the time. We've got an underwater observatory, which is a confined space. I'm not sure if anyone's been out there, but it's 3 stories and it goes under the water and all that kind of thing. Now, we're actually going to open that up on the long weekend for the first time. But we've put some severe restrictions in that, and that is normally we can cater up to 40 people in there at one time on a tour. We're restricting that to 10. We're going to have 2 or 3 escorts, and we're going to make sure that they're only 1.5 meters apart. So looking at the where you're holding the event, how many people you're going to have at the event, who's going to coordinate the event, and have we conducted a risk assessment about that event? That is really vitally important, because if you don't conduct a risk assessment and you don't complete your safety action plan, you're really running the gauntlet of being caught, photographed, all that kind of stuff. And we all know how powerful social media is. The one thing that really, that if you do a SWOT analysis, one of the big threats for us here is someone coming to the jetty, seeing a group of people standing together, taking a photo straight onto Facebook, straight onto social media. So that's that's why we need to control it. And I see you laughing, John. It's true though. Unfortunately, that's what they do. We have these people lurking in the bushes with cameras, waiting to catch us. So it is vitally important. It comes down to risk. What is the risk of us holding that event, and what do we need to make sure we do to make sure that we don't expose ourselves to whether it be prosecution or regulation or bad media.
All right, fantastic. So Robin's just popped another question in there. So food businesses, restaurants, cafes, all that, obviously they've got a whole new world that they're venturing into with their requirements. Can you talk to us about their obligations to get people's names, details of what details they need to get? And the comment says that some are concerned about how to do this in a non-invasive way. Any thoughts on how this can be done?
Very, very, very difficult. In fact, one of the things that came up in our risk assessment was if we identify someone who's got exposure to COVID, with the amount of people that visit our jetty, how are we going to pinpoint that person? And for us, we do have CCTV. We don't get names of people when they walk in the building. That is why we conduct temperature checks. For restaurants and cafes, it's very, very difficult. You need to have someone at the front making sure, just like we have, making sure that the people walking into the restaurant understand, or the cafe understand the rules. Now, I know that's not easy for everyone because it comes down to overheads and having people available. But the exposure to, if you're only really running a small cafe, it is quite intrusive asking for someone's details. We use we use CCTV. We went against getting names because we think that's probably overstretching the privacy part of it. And so it's a very hard question to answer. But to me, if you can control the environment of the restaurant or the cafe by having your social distancing, having your markers, making sure that you have perspex up, and if you haven't got perspex up on the counter, making sure that they're at a minimum 1.5 meters back or 2 meters back, that will significantly reduce the exposure to COVID.
Okay, so I do know that one of the parts of the food business is that they must get the names and details.
Okay.
That is part of the safety plan.
Yep.
Would you sort of suggest that they maybe do it when someone's ordering, or
Definitely.
what would you think about if they only did, say, a sit-down service? I've seen this at a cafe locally to me. They do a sit-down service, and then when you place your order with the person that comes and takes your order, you give details. Do you recommend those sorts of things that people should be doing?
I strongly recommend that. Like here at the BJI, the Jetty, we don't have sit down a restaurant, but one thing I do notice at the Goose and the Equinox is I have noticed that people sitting down when they do go to the counter, they do ask for the name.
Okay.
And not contact details or phone numbers or anything like that, but just their name. So they just record the name. Yes, John.
Oh, wait, he's just on mute. Sorry. There you go, John.
Oh, that'll make it a lot easier. It's quite interesting, isn't it? I had my hair cut the other day, and I couldn't get my hair cut until I filled out the form.
Okay.
But I was really impressed with the way they asked me to fill out the form. When I sat down in the chair, she explained to me that they had to do this.
Yes.
And they were sorry to do it, but she wouldn't look at it. It was a piece of paper, was only valid for me. The next person that would sign that would sign a different piece of paper so that my name and contact details weren't given out.
Yes.
And so as soon as I signed that, she picked it up, walked it over, gave it to the lady at the desk or at the reception. And I thought they handled that in a very professional way. And I think that's probably a lot of the secret of it is around, well, what are your motivations and attitudes towards these type of things anyhow?
That's correct, John. That's spot on. I can't explain it any better. And that is why we spend so much time with our people when people walk in the building, explaining the why. We got to explain the why to people about why we have to do this. It is uncomfortable for some people to actually talk about that. But if you explain the why, most people, are pretty good about it, and if you feel that you need to do that for your business, that is not unreasonable as far as I'm concerned to ask for their name, as long as you're professional.
Yeah, Alanda, the recommendation I made to some of the food providers here in Bunbury was very similar to what John has described there, and that was just take a little piece of paper with a pen as you sit people at their table, explain that you're required to take contact details, that you're going to leave that with them to fill in for everyone there, particularly if they're not all part of the same family group. And then just say, look, I'll need to collect that from you when I come and take your orders.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that explanation is the key thing, but a few of them have been struggling with it on how to do it in a pleasant way.
Yes, it is difficult when you're asking for someone's personal information. Some people do get offended or whatever it may be. So it's the way the message is delivered, definitely, that makes all the difference. And it's the way the person engages with the people and explains that the purpose behind it, as far as I'm concerned. And it's just the world we live in now. And a lot of people have come to accept it now that, they will be temperature checked when they walked in. They will be given hand sanitizer. They will be expected to sit 2 meters or stand 2 meters away from each other. It's become an expectation now. I think nothing's off board. Whatever you want to do to protect your business or protect yourselves, I think you can do it.
Yeah, I've seen for some restaurants recently that they are only doing bookings for you have to book online to book a table, and they're actually asking for all the attendees' details. So if you're booking a table for 4, you need to enter in 4 people's details, which I think, given that's a book online, it means that there's no awkwardness when someone actually attends the restaurant. Then when you're attending, it's just like as if you were any other day. You're giving your name, you get moved to your table, and there's no other conversation about it. So I think it's about finding what's comfortable for those businesses.
That's correct. And that just leads me to, that just sort of reminded me of something. When people do bookings here to go on the train, that's exactly what they do. It's all online bookings, and they have to give their name and address. It's with the bookings, we make sure we get the name, address, and contact details. But yeah, it's also we do have, even at the bookings office here, because people do just walk in and book. It's the same scenario that we get their names and addresses. Yep.
All right. Does anyone else have any other questions? Julie, do you have any questions about the shop? You're on mute, love.
So I'm going to unmute me. Come on, mouse. We have a retail shop where people come in and they're here for maybe a couple of minutes or maybe half an hour. Do we need, I don't think we need to get people's details, do we? Because we haven't been.
No.
You're not legally required to.
Good. We have hand sanitizer at the front. We explain the distancing. We've had a mad rush on toilet paper when it was all going on. So we've been following all the rules, and we supply cleaning products to businesses so they can do all their stuff as well. So
yeah, you're all over it. Have you got a COVID safety plan in place, Julie? Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Just make sure you're doing what you say you're going to do. That's the most important thing.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing.
Thank you.
Cool.
Orlando, clearly the liability there actually lies with the business operator.
Yep.
And so that, I guess that's the difficult part of it, the fact that you do get occasionally people not doing the right thing.
Correct.
And as you've indicated, you have had the odd confrontational situation, but on the whole, I think the fact that it's your business that's being impacted and you're the one that's liable is the really important bit. Yeah.
And you know, if I can go back to being the safety practitioner and the compliance, the auditor, we under the law we have an obligation. So if we breach that compliance requirement, we've only got ourselves to blame in a way. So we just make sure you follow the rules until they relax a bit more. And we don't know what's going to happen next week. We don't know what's going to happen in a fortnight. Everything could change. So we're very much finger on the pulse here and listening out for new announcements and trying to think up new ways of running the business here. So being innovative with, you know, Zoom meetings and making sure that we have additional people available to answer questions from patrons, making sure that we have at the training, as Louise said, make sure we've got the appropriate training in place, making sure that we provide information to people. The more information you give people about this stuff, the better it is. And the easier it is to have that conversation about names and addresses, by the way. So. Yeah,
and I also think that it's important that people or business owners are vigilant around that, because the last thing we want is to have some of the restrictions reintroduced because people aren't doing the right thing.
And you know, something I think we've all been in places where you can see already that they're starting to lax with some of their restrictions and the way they do things, and it is scary, especially, you know, because it can flare up quite easily. So until we get that definite nod to move ahead full steam, which God knows when that's going to be, we have to just remain vigilant and stay away from each other. Hence why I haven't been to your house for a coffee, John.
Courtney, I just wanted to share something else with you. I'm a part of a sporting association as well, on a committee, and our governing body actually sent out some WA government sporting association safety plans, management plans, a bit further than that one we showed before. I'll find those and I'll flick them through to you directly, because there's one that's about a sport association and clubs, which is for the facilities of the building of our soccer club, and then also there was one for like coaches and things like that. So there was just like sort of the divvying up of the responsibilities, and it is a tick and flick of a yes, no. It's not really writing, but I will find that and I'll share that with you as well, Courtney, because it was really helpful for our club to get back to training.
Cool.
All right. Any more questions? No, fantastic. Well, thank you so much, everyone. If you do have any more questions or problems, or you need help with any of that, please, we're going to tag in Orlando into a post with all of the documents that we've shown today, as well as Ryan Powell from the System Company, who's also based here in Australind. They are both more than happy to help you out. If you do need help preparing those plans, Ryan is available and has a lot of availability at the moment to help out with those. So we'll put those details into a post in the Save Our Smalls and onto the Southwest Alliance page. So if you need anything, please reach out. We are here to help you.
And also, if I can just add a comment there, and if you know anyone, guys, that is in business and is struggling and who's not on this webinar today, obviously, you know, point them in the right direction, because some people do need assistance out there. Like, some people just don't know what they don't know. So the more resources and information we can give them, the better it is.
Exactly. The more we talk about it, the less this becomes, you know, a hidden secret that people don't know what to do.
That's it.
All right. Thank you so much for all your time, and thank you so much, Orlando, for running us through that. And we'll post up those links very shortly for everyone.
Thanks very much,
Thanks,
everybody.
Orlando.
No worries. Julie, say good day to Matt for me. John, say good day to Karen for me. And Courtney, say good day to whoever you want. And Robin, have a nice day.
Thanks, Orlando.
Thanks,
All right,
guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.